Unmute everybody first.
First?
Good. Okay, no, are we okay? We're okay. Sorry.
Yep, you're good.
Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the April 22nd, 2020 meeting of the Rotterdam Town Board. Ms. Marco, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Cristo absent. Mr. Guidarelli?
Present.
Mrs. Miller-Pereira?
Present.
Mr. Gilmore?
Present.
Mr. Townsend?
Present.
Okay.
Okay. Would you give me one moment? I'm going to close this door because I'm getting feedback from you folks in the boardroom. I'll be right back.
Do you want me to shut this other door?
Yeah, actually, that would be easier if you don't mind, because it's
No, not at all.
right through. Kind of weird, strange sound. Thank you very much, Diane. Thank you.
I'm
Thank
also
you.
going to try and mute and unmute Steve Signori while Diane is talking, because they're, in the same room.
They're so close to each other. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, it's not close. They're about 20 feet apart. But
Okay.
all right. Let's all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Steve, would you lead us in the pledge, Steve?
Lead us, I will. Thank you very much. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
Of the United States of America.
Flag, United States of America.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, God, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, so just would like to mention a few things. I first want to just commend our residents and businesses and everyone who is doing their utmost during this this crisis, and they are complying with the directives from our federal and state authorities, our county authorities, and most importantly from those people who deal with the health and safety of all of us, the CDC and others. So Department of Health, I just want to thank everyone for their patience and following the guidelines that have been placed out there, and to our town employees who have been in and out of their departments. Thank you for all that you've done, in particular, obviously our police department, the fire, and our EMS services, and anyone who is assisting in any way for to residents who are in need across the county, and particularly obviously Rotterdam, our town. There's a couple things I'd like to mention. The county today hosted a food distribution drive-through event at the Schenectady County Community College. We'll probably know late tonight or tomorrow how that went. I hope that those who were who needed to do so took advantage of that opportunity. The county also, if you go to our town website, there are links to the county website and to the state. The county today put out just recently put out a community resource guide. Just kind of show you what it looks like, how it's presenting on the screen. But you can get this and download it off the web, and it really has everything on here that I think you needing any kind of in any way of needing any kind of assistance. So the hotline numbers are here for everything from child care to Department of Labor for unemployment and career services, financial assistance through Schenectady County Community Action Program, emergency housing with Bethesda House and City Mission of Schenectady, legal aid, society information, and then meal pickup at the Boys and Girls Club in Schenectady. Also, Spectrum Cable is offering free broadband, internet, and Wi-Fi access for 60 days to households with K through 12 or college students who are not already our customers, if you will, who are not already a broadband subscriber. And to enroll, the phone number is 1-844-488-8395. Again, 1-844-488-8395. And it says here the installation for new student households. So something to consider. And again, just go online to our website and to the county website, SchenectadyCounty.com, if you want to get any more information. So it's quite quite an abundance of information out there. And again, I just want to thank everyone for their efforts and especially caring for their neighbors and loved ones during this time. So I think things are hopefully starting to turn around here for all of us. So at this time, we'll call for the public hearing. And Ms. Marco, would you read the public hearing, please?
Amend Chapter 270 of the Code of the Town of Rotterdam, entitled Zoning, to include Section 270-167, D7, entitled Parking and Signage, for special use permits to allow for the adaptive reuse of educational and religious buildings.
The public and
Did you make the list?
anyone would like to be heard on the public hearing at this time? Is there anyone who would like to be heard on the public hearing at this time?
Give me a
Dana,
second. I can't unmute him.
Okay.
I can't unmute these people.
maybe he muted, everybody muted themselves, is that?
I'm not sure.
Okay, let's just try that. Otherwise, we can keep it open and come back to it at the end of the meeting. Larry's unmuted, Don's unmuted.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. I'm getting someone else that wants to join. Maybe it's the.
Anyone like to be heard on the public hearing at this time?
Dana, this is Jack. I'm
There
good,
we
thank
go.
you.
All right, well, you want to?
Okay, okay. All right, so I think that we're okay. So we'll declare anyone else like to be heard on a public hearing at this time? Okay, public hearing one, will declare public hearing one closed. And we'll go to public comment privilege of the floor. Anyone like to be heard on the public comment privilege of the floor? You have 4 minutes to address the town board. Anyone?
I think Jack has to unmute himself if he did want to speak, which he unmuted himself before. So I think we're good.
Okay. I don't think, okay. All right. Okay.
Who's
All
the
right, Ms. Marco, let's go.
person?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Let's go into the resolutions, please.
Sure. Appoint 126.20. Appoint Randall Tallman of Rotterdam, New York, 12303, to the position of laborer in the Department of Public Works, part-time, at an hourly rate of $11.80, contingent upon completion of DCJS background check in compliance with the New York State Corrections Law.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
A motion by Ms. Miller Herrera. Is there a second, please? Steve unmuted. You want to unmute yourself, Steve? Did you want a second, or Joe?
Yeah, did not? Oh, Dana had unmute me. Yeah, second.
Okay, we got a motion by Ms. Miller Herrera. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Second by Mr. Signor. Anyone on the question? Okay, Ms. Marco, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Christo is absent. Mr. Gittarelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera?
Yes.
Mr. Signor?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Resolution 12620 passes. Resolution 12720.
Appoint individuals to various seasonal summer positions at the Town of Rotterdam Parks Department from May 28, 2020 to August 16, 2020. Oh my God. At an hourly rate
That's coming from.
$11.80.
contingent upon completion of DCJS background check in compliance with the New York State Corrections Law. Why is that doing that? What is
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's your proximity.
that?
It's,
I can, should I move? I can move a little further away if you think that'll help.
if you want to try it, Steve, go ahead. Let's give that a shot before we call for the vote.
You think it's too close?
I can go in the back.
I think so. Yeah, that might be it.
And everyone should really try to mute themselves when they're not speaking.
Yeah.
Oh, is that a little better?
I think so.
Well,
I mean, neither one of you sounds tinny to me, so.
We all set?
Sounds good.
Okay, so may I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Motion by Ms. Miller Herrera, second by
second.
Mr. Signor,
No.
or Mr. Guerrelli.
Joe called that. Joe called the second on that.
Okay, so we have a motion by Ms. Miller Herrera and a second by Mr. Guerrelli. Anyone on the question? Okay, Ms. Marco, please call the roll.
Mr. Christo is absent. Mr. Gitterelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Signor?
Yes.
Mr. Thomasone?
Yes.
Thomas, okay, 4 yes.
So resolution 12720 passes. Okay, now we have consent agenda. There's several resolutions here. So I will make a motion for the consent agenda, please.
I'll make a motion.
Here you go.
Supervisor, I'll move
Signor, okay, and
items
we have a second.
128-20, 129-.20, excuse me, 130.20, 131.20, 132.20, 133.20, 134.20, 135.20, 136.20, 137.20, 138.20, 139.20, 140.20, 141.20, 142.20, 143.20, and 144.20 made consent agenda items.
Okay, motion by
Second.
Mr. Signor, second by Ms. Miller Herrera. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Mr. Supervisor, I have a question on one.
Yes, yeah, we're gonna go right there. Go ahead.
The baseball
Go ahead.
field.
Mhm.
I know there were 2 contractors on that. I can't find the supporting documentation, but it was for the baseball field. One was 72,000, the other one was 90 something, I think.
Mhm.
Where are those fees? Are those parkland fees?
Yes.
So we're pulling
All
that
coming
much.
from parkland fees.
So-
There's, I don't recall the exact balance off the top of my head right now, but there's approximately 200,000 in net account right now.
Yeah.
To my recollection again.
So the full amount's coming out of parkland fees.
That's where we would take these funds right now, yes, because trying to preserve as much in our budget with everything that's going on right now, within the budget, if you will, within the A fund. So just trying to preserve all that without dipping into any additional money that we may have budgeted in our actual budget. So this is coming from our dedicated account for.
Right. And I'm on the Parks Committee, and Steve, you are as well. We meet all the time. So that's a big chunk coming out of that budget. I mean, it's over a third, right? We're at I want to say we're at 180 something or 190. So potentially taking 72,000 out of this just for that one field, for that one youth program, basically, right?
That's correct. And so the other thing that I would say to that is that there are still monies coming in. So as permits are pulled for homes and apartments, those fees will continue to come back in. I mean, I don't know that the fund will get depleted in any way. I'm sure that we'll have approximately the same amount towards the end of the year as we did last year because of all the projects that are going on in town.
But it's still a big chunk to go to one project, one field.
I
with all the other youth programs
understand
going
that.
on in the town of Rotterdam.
I understand, I acknowledge that, but we also, over the past several years, well, I should say 3 to 4 years, have expended just 80,000 to, it was 80 some $1,000 for the basketball courts. Expended, I forget how much for the tennis courts. So parks
Right.
in general, all over town have been getting improvements, fencing, everything. So I'm not overly concerned with the cost, because this is something that will, once we spend this kind of money to make these field improvements, these improvements will be there for, I don't want to say forever, because nothing's really ever forever, right? But they'll be there for, the next several years, and they'll make the improvements themselves as far as the upkeep. The league itself, Rotterdam Carmen Little League, will continue to what they do on the other fields that they have in our town parks. They do the majority of the maintenance and upkeep. They spend their own funds there as well.
Right.
So
right.
that, on the other side, saves the town an enormous amount of money as well in labor costs and materials costs. So I understand what you're saying, and at the same time, I do believe that we'll have some other projects come up here over the next month that have to do with a couple of other parks. So we're working on them.
Right, and I understand the basketball court, the basketball court, the tennis court. I mean, that's for kind of more of the general public use of the town, but this is like specifically for one youth organization, correct?
Well, let's go back to something that we could talk about maybe a little more robustly together, which is that the town parks are town property.
Right.
Oftentimes, the leagues will allow, and they allow, they do all the maintenance on those fields. They protect them. They're there to care for them, particularly during the season where the children are playing in those fields. So they do, and we do as a community, afford other people to use those fields. So I don't think that that's an issue. I do concur with you that it's a lot of money, but at this point, where we are as far as the time of year and with everything that's going on, I really would like to get this accomplished right away.
Right, now I'm in favor of doing this. I'm just not, we're allocating so much of the parkland fees on this one project. And we talked with other youth organizations. They've actually shown up to some of the other town board meetings, previous meetings. We talked about doing something for them. And I'm looking at it and saying, okay, we have $180,000, $190,000, and we're going to take minimum $72,000 out for one field for one organization. And I'm just.
But some of those, I didn't mean to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And just, we didn't meet prior to, we did talk about this briefly, but earlier today it hit me. It's like, wait, this is probably coming out of parkland fees. And I would have liked to have had more discussion on this. And, are there other ways to fund one field other than take 72,000 minimum out of parkland fees? And again, I'm in favor of helping the league and getting this field back up to speed. But again, with all the other youth programs we have soccer, we have baseball, we have the football, we have, Tri-City BMX. And
understood, but here, Councilman Guidarelli, when it comes down to some of these other organizations, they are on property that the town does not own, does not have any control over. And I know you know that. I'm just throwing that out. And also the town, one of these organizations, while the town may own the land, it's not designated parkland. So there's some other things that we have to do over the next several months, and more will happen. Right now, there's just, with the crisis that we have before us, unfortunately, there has not been I'll say, and it's not cooperation, just hasn't been the staff and some other departments, and I'm not talking about town, I'm talking about higher up where we can get some other things started. But we did, we are looking at what grant opportunities, and when I say we, our office staff here in the supervisor's office is looking at some other potential grant opportunities that'll help us in the future when it comes to parks. And so, with that said, that's where I have to leave it right now. But we'll, I think we definitely need to do a little more as far as some outreach to these organizations, I think. And obviously right now it's a little bit difficult. But also, as I said to you, and we could talk offline about this, one piece of property in particular that the town owns, it's not designated parkland. I don't know that we want it designated parkland, but I think that we need to have a conversation about what we can do to assist. And town staff are already planning some things to assist this one organization. So we'll get there. When I say assist the organization, assist us in improving the property that we own. And I hear you.
So as far as the use,
and I also, go ahead.
The use of that field is then not open to the public.
That's a discussion that we have with the leagues themselves. In other words, they do allow the public to use some fields, and I don't know which one. Like I couldn't tell you which one, but I've had those discussions with them. And it may not be their major field, let's say. Maybe they allow them to use a smaller field in their property within the confines of our property. In the town parks. But again, thinking to the from the perspective that they are investing their league resources as well in those fields, in the equipment, in the property. I believe that they have. They don't have ownership, but I believe that they do have a say in what should happen on some of those fields. But at the same time, yes, we have had those conversations in the past, and I know that I haven't heard recently from anyone saying that we can't use something. So I haven't heard that. In the past, I used to hear that once in a while. I haven't heard that in the last few years. The leagues have been pretty resourceful and responsive in allowing other people, if you will, other organizations to use the fields that they help maintain on town property.
Well, I think the other piece to it is that through your EPA consent order, you are required to maintain jurisdiction over them with regards to stormwater issues. And so each league that uses your field is required to obtain a permit annually. So if they are the individuals that are primarily or have historically been using that field, then they apply for the permit first, and they're given first chance. But the idea that there is any municipal property that is solely for the use of any single individual is an idea that should not exist, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else on any of the resolutions? I just want to briefly mention a few of them. So we are moving ahead with our engineering services and the specifications and plans for our salt storage building. And so a couple of resolutions there, one hiring Barton LaJudas for the engineering services, which will assist us and our highway operations in where the proposed salt storage and yard waste facility will be located within the confines of the property that we have an offer to purchase on Campbell Road. They're going to assist us with other grant administration and construction services. And then Advanced Storage Technology, Inc., they're located in Amherst, New York. They're providing plans and specifications for the building, salt storage building. We're also calling for bids, for highway sand, awarding bids for our water system improvements, phase 3, which is the Princetown Road line. Replacing that line along Princetown Road to our water treatment plant. The Memorial Park baseball field improvements, and then we're awarding bids for handmade materials and piping and other let's see, right here is crushed limestone, gravel. And then also for awarding it to CTI AgRecycle for the removal of our processed yard waste. I just want to let you know, I'm also looking at, I can't say anything yet because I don't have anything to share with you at this point, but I am researching some other options that we need to look at regarding our yard waste from the perspective of how it is that we dispose of it, because we're spending quite a bit of money there. In the past, we used to get a little bit of revenue, and I mean very little revenue for our yard waste, and now we're paying for it 10 times over what we used to receive. And then some. So it's incumbent on us to try to find some ways to save where we can. And so that's all I have at this point. As far as communications and other things, I'd just like to say briefly that this is going to be communicating to town staff, and this really is for everyone in the town, but mostly for us from an operational perspective. I just want to give you all a heads up that I'm going to, over the next month or so, going through our budget, trying to find different opportunities for us to save money where we can, to ensure that our revenues are consistent. Right now, that's not happening. Our revenues are not consistent right now. Obviously, because our courts are closed. I'm not sure how sales tax revenues are going to be affected outside of, at this point right now, potentially, I think, lower than what is probably anticipated. So with that, I'm going to come up with some options, share them with all of you, ask you to, give it some time to, I'll say, sink in. And then also work with each other to, frankly, find some ways maybe that I haven't thought of to, again, improve revenues without increasing taxes, and to assure the public, and in particular the town workers, town employees, that we're okay. That the town's all right. I'm not trying to paint a bleak picture. It's not bleak at all, but I'm telling you, it's a cautious picture that we need to take serious look at everything right now, and not put ourselves in a position where we are thinking about it, 3 months down the road when quote unquote things start to return to normal. What I mean by that is where construction is really in full swing again and happening in the community. It's going to take some time for the wheels to start turning again. We do get started on May 15th as the current date the Governor Cuomo has declared for getting New York back up and running. With that, I also just want you to know that town employees are making improvements to the building. Today, Jamie McConvey, I don't know that he wants his name mentioned, but I'll mention it anyway. You can look him up. It's public information. He works, he's our town carpenter. He has been working very hard to put up, if you want to call it plexiglass, in our offices so that we can interact with the public. What that's going to look like as far as how many people we allow into the building at a time and all those kinds of things are still a work in process, if you will. But as far as the departments themselves, we should be up and running when the day comes with no slowdown. So I want you to be aware of that. And if you get a chance to stop at Town Hall, when I say that, I'm talking about the council members. You come into Town Hall, take a look. And you'll see some of the changes and improvements that have been made since we've been closed. So with that, anyone else have anything that they'd like to bring up tonight? Mr. Christou is not in the meeting where he normally makes a motion for adjournment. Is that where we are now? Or do we have to vote first?
I don't think we
I think we
voted on.
should vote first.
We didn't put on consent items, did we?
No, we didn't. So let's vote on the consent agenda. We have resolutions. Resolutions. One. This is what happens when I'm alone. I just start talking.
We do it when we're there too.
14420. Would someone like to call the roll, Ms. Marco? Would you do that for us?
Sure. Mr. Christou is absent. Mr. Guidarelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera?
Yes.
Mr. Signor?
Yes.
Mr. Thomasone?
Yes.
4 yes.
Resolutions 128 through 144 pass. Okay, does anyone have anything under committee reports or miscellaneous at this time?
I would move to adjourn.
Real quick. Nope.
Yep.
Hold on.
Fine, Steve can go. I thought I was filling in for Evan tonight.
Obviously, we're at a standstill with anything having to do with our bicentennial celebrations. I know that they've been working on, our annual Battle of the Badges. That would have been probably taking place in around May or so. So we're projecting it out further, and I'll just update everybody as this, as we're able to remove ourselves from social distancing and start implementing some of the things that we've enjoyed in the past before this COVID-19 hit. So right now, I guess we're just on our social activities. We're just at a standstill until the situation improves.
Yeah, the committees haven't been meeting, and our planning commission, zoning board, have had meetings as we have here virtually. So business is being conducted, but not the way we like to do it, which is in person. So, anyone else? Okay. Ms. Miller Herrera, you like to reapply your motion?
Move to adjourn.
We have a motion by Ms. Miller Herrera and a second by Mr. Guidarelli. Okay, all in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, everyone, thank you very much for your patience and for attending our meeting this evening. Thank you.
Be safe, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.